And as educators, we're making decisions literally minute to minute, right? Making decisions on behalf of our students, on behalf of the families that we support, on behalf of our communities, on behalf of ourselves, on behalf of our loved ones. Like as educators and caregivers, we're holding so much space and have so much responsibility for the people around us. And so being able to make those responsible decisions from a place of critical thinking and focus, I mean,
game changer.
Game changer.
Are we in a mindset where we feel stuck and defeated and we're just trying to get through? Or are we at a mindset where we feel, even if it's challenging, we believe we'll be able to find our way to the other side and grow through the process? And that type of growth mindset or other asset-based mindsets, they just really enhance our capacity to make good decisions.
Michael, you and I co-created Breathe for Change, this beautiful movement 11 years ago.
Sure did.
Because our education system was in crisis. And the sad news is we're still in crisis. And the issues that we initially addressed, which were educator stress and burnout and student mental health, are, even more pressing today, especially within the context of our rapidly changing and evolving world. There's so much going on socially. And obviously, AI is absolutely fundamentally transforming what it even means to teach and learn in this society. And it's going so fast that none of us really have an idea of what teaching and learning is going to look like tomorrow, in a week from now, in a year from now, and in decades from now. And I just feel so inspired to be your partner in crime in co-creating what we hope to be the future of education together. And what's interesting is that, the issues are still the same, right? Educators are still stressed, burning out.
More stress.
Leaving the profession. It's the most burnt out profession in the United States of America, being a teacher. And teachers, I feel you. I know it. And you're doing the most important work in the world. And you're holding your students and everything that they're bringing into the classroom, the mental health challenges, the unbelievable amounts of poverty and trauma that they're experiencing in their homes and in their communities. It's all showing up in the classroom. And what I have found to be true is that teacher education is not preparing our educators to address these challenges. So of course you're stressed and burnt out. Of course you're questioning whether or not you want to be in education, or not that you want to be. I know you want to be, whether you can be, whether this is sustainable. And that's why we do what we do here at Breathe for Change. And it's been so inspiring, Michael, over the last year to, after we had that aha moment together where we're like, okay, over the last 10 years, we've been certifying tens of thousands of educators in mindfulness practices and as social emotional learning facilitators. And we're teaching them yoga and wellness and they're enhancing well-being in schools. But what we're actually doing is human intelligence. We're teaching our educators the critical human skills that they need to thrive and the critical skills that their students need to thrive, particularly in the context of AI, right? We've got artificial intelligence, now we have human intelligence. And those 5 layers that we created: cognitive intelligence, which is already happening, emotional intelligence, the intelligence of our emotions, capacity to feel, somatic intelligence, the intelligence of our body, how important our bodies are, the wisdom our bodies have to support us in knowing what we need and want. Our social intelligence, what we're doing right now, being social together, connecting, experiencing human connection. And then universal, like our connection to greater purpose. That's like our framework that we've created. And it was kind of built on this idea that education up to this point has been so focused on cognitive intelligence. Almost, I would argue, cognitive overload. And what I love about the work that we've done in cognitive intelligence is that we're not saying cognitive intelligence is bad or wrong or needs to be gone by adding these layers. There's an evolution that's possible here that can actually transform what teaching and learning looks like when we do cognitive intelligence the best way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, one of the things I'm just getting increasingly excited about as we get deeper into this human intelligence framework together. First of all, it's so exciting to be here with you and to get into this. And yes, the last 11 years have been beyond what I could have imagined. And what is happening as we get more into this human intelligence framework and deeper, what I'm realizing is so often I think it gets framed that in an unfortunate way, which is that, emotional intelligence or social emotional learning or working with physical well-being, that these things are like instead of cognitive intelligence or not paired with or integrated into cognitive intelligence, because at the core, learning has everything to do with thinking, right? Like even when we're talking about strategies for somatic intelligence, for example, we're using our thoughts to talk about those strategies and then implement them. So cognitive intelligence, in the human intelligence framework is as essential as the other layers. But what's so important is what I know we've been discovering together is the way that we've approached academics and cognitive intelligence in schools is outdated and limiting.
Completely.
And so what so often happens is, the skills students need most now, and also I would argue teachers, are skills like creativity, being able to think outside the box, come up with new ideas, skills like critical thinking and being able to really think for themselves and find the truth or the relevance within the information overload that they're receiving. The cognitive
so much information, especially now with AI, we can have any information we need at any given moment. How do we work through that?
And we can interact with it. It can think a lot for us. But so now the question becomes, how do we develop that cognitive intelligence that we actually need in today's day and age? And too often in schools, I know I had this experience. I imagine you did. People who do think outside the box, schools have been so much.
That was you.
Definitely me.
That was you.
Guilty as charged. People who do think outside the box, a lot of school has been about memorizing facts. AI, even the internet just took care of that, about following the rules or finding the right answer, again, taken care of, and sort of, and often actually students who may have been coming up with innovative ideas or questioning the ways that things were being taught may have actually been told they're not supposed to do that.
100%.
And so schools have actually been conditioning us in many ways for the totally wrong skills that aren't even really applicable anymore, instead of fostering the skills that we really need, like how do we focus within all this distraction? How do we think for ourselves? How do we make decisions that really support the lives we want to live? How do we collaborate with each other? And ultimately, how do we really tap into that creativity that, you and I have been finding so much through Breathe for Change?
For sure. And what an exciting time to be alive.
Oh my God.
Like literally, I remember like when I was so young and the internet like became a thing.
Yeah.
And now we literally have artificial intelligence, which is fundamentally shifting how you and I work every day, how we interact. And yet there's these human skills that are so much more critical now than ever before. Like with the advent of AI, how do we ask questions, right? And probe information? How do we, like you said, be innovative and think creatively, right? We can use AI as our friend, but if we aren't taught to collaborate with it and with other human beings effectively, then mental health is going to be an issue. Yeah.
Well, what we're at risk of thinking of AI as a replacement brain. Like AI is a brain instead of our brain. But if we do that, we're giving up the agency we have as human beings to actually live the lives we want. So instead of thinking about AI as a replacement brain, we think of AI as a thought partner. How can AI be like this super powerful computer that actually interacts, enhances our brain, so to speak, where we're still taking that responsibility for the decisions we make, the direction we want in our life, our agency as humans over our thinking, and we have this really powerful tool to support us. But if we don't cultivate the right skills, we are at risk, some of us anyway, of giving over these core human, this core ability to create the lives we want to AI. And so that's where it's like, it becomes really deep and really important to go into this.
And in our human intelligence framework, we have created 5 competencies for every single layer of human intelligence. And when it comes to cognitive intelligence, the fifth competency, which we kind of think about as like the ultimate expression,
The culmination.
the culmination, the goal, whatever. It's like the full way of expressing cognitive intelligence. It's creativity, right? Our capacity to create, to express, to innovate, to imagine possibilities
that never existed before, right?
And to bring them to life.
Absolutely. Transform that into action so that they don't just live in our heads. They become real in this shared world that we inhabit together.
And I think, when I think about creativity, you are literally the full expression of that to me. I'm
Thank
like,
you.
okay, who's the most creative human being on this planet? I'm talking to him right now. His name is Michael Fenchel, and he's my dear friend and co-founder. And
maybe we'll do a freestyle.
Yeah. Oh, we have to.
Maybe later in the
episode.
episode.
At the end of this podcast, Michael's going to freestyle. Okay. So you have to listen to the end, or else it's not going to be the best day of your life. Or it could be the best day of your life, but this will even be a better day if you hear his freestyle. So anyways, when we think about the competency of creativity, like when I think about it, I think, our origin story, 100%. Right? I will never forget. So Michael was a dear, dear friend of mine and the best entrepreneur that I knew. So when I started Breathe for Change and I was, recruited these educators to the first training in 2015, I was like, Michael, come to the training. And then he showed up, got out his notebook, and I'll never forget when you wrote that poem.
I wrote a poem, and I was so inspired by the transformation I saw these educators doing, these givers who I associate or identify as a giver too, learning to really take care of themselves. I couldn't help myself but write. And then when I shared this poem with the whole room.
I forced you to share it. I was like, I knew what was happening, Michael. He was in the corner, like journaling, and I just know
because I don't think I was in the corner. I think
fine. You were in the middle of the room by the wall.
Yes, yeah.
And journaling, and I just know how you express yourself through poetry, and because you're so creative. And so I remember being like, this is Michael, my dear friend and advisor, because you had been advising me in Breathe for Change. And I was like, did you write a poem? Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember. You didn't just say, did you write it? You said, I
read
know
it.
You wrote a poem. You have to read it to the room. Anyway, this origin story, then, that just brought forward so much emotion in the room. And I think that's a really cool example of when creativity and cognitive intelligence can actually bring forward emotion and other layers too. So from there, it was clear. And then we co-created that event together. And it was clear that there was just so much collaboration and creativity between the two of us. And, haven't really looked back as far as working together on this.
And then Michael goes, give me a 2-month trial period. I'm going to help you turn this into a real movement. And I was like, done. And then here we are today. I think, like you said, just the creativity that you and I experienced together, like co-creating the curriculum, co-creating the vision, co-creating, this ideals of how we believed education could look like. And then literally imagining all the different possibilities. I remember you and I got into a room after that. We were together all the time, posters on the wall, just literally writing every idea of what can education look like in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? How do we address the educator stress and burnout, the mental health crises? And
yeah. And do you remember I want to break it. I want to dig into this a little more because I think a lot of people really struggle with this, unfortunately, largely because of the conditioning that we've received in school and in our society.
Well, there's no space for this.
Yeah, it's not emphasized yet. That's something we want to change. But what we did is first, like you just were mentioning, we talked about the problems. What problems are teachers facing? Sometimes the inspiration for creativity can come from really understanding, how can you add value, right? What was meaningful? But then, like you said, I think we had those big Post-it notes, those ones you stick on the wall, and it was like the whole walls of the room were all covered. And so many people, and I think this is not spoken about enough. Do you remember how many people said, oh, that'll never work. Teachers don't have enough money to pay for this, or blah, 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 blah. Insert all your reasons that something wouldn't happen.
I mean, literally from my dad being like, no chance, you're not a businesswoman. This isn't happening, to investors. The investors.
Advisors who successful entrepreneurs who were used to thinking about things a certain way and didn't believe that this could happen. But we persevered and we believed because we could see the value that was happening. I think that's a really critical underpinning of creativity, is having that willingness to take a risk, and that willingness to try something and dream, even if so much of society tells us not to dream,
And I think that's really what sets apart what we're doing at Breathe for Change, or what we've created at Breathe for Change, like the definition of cognitive intelligence from what schools are actually experiencing as it relates to cognitive intelligence today.
Absolutely.
Because in the context of schools, what do we think about when we're thinking about teaching and learning? Test scores, standardization,
least creative things,
memorization, literally everything but creativity.
It's actually a hindrance to be creative, to do well. I mean, I won't say that. I think we can absolutely do great on tests and be creative, but developing the same skill, developing ability to do well on a test is not the same skill set as developing creativity.
Not at all. And so this expanded definition, so to speak, of what's possible in our cognitive aspect of who we are, our cognitive intelligence, if we actually shift education towards like building our capacity and creativity, I mean, especially with the tools that we have today,
100%.
Oh my goodness, the future is going to be a completely different, transformed world.
The world can truly be our oyster right now with the right skills. But with the skills of the past that are often still being taught, of memorization, standardized test scoring, there's less and less. There's already, I think, very low need. Most people who are hiring are not, most jobs are not about that at all anymore. But if there are any left, they're going away. We're teaching skills that are literally for the past instead of skills that
like 100 years ago.
Yeah, way too long. It's the rate of change in education and the innovation, even despite so many people working so hard at it, is its own challenge. When students do get the right skills right now, and teachers do get the right, and understand, and when we're talking about cognitive intelligence, it's not a specific academic subject. It's our ability to think well, which applies to all the subjects too. That's just I wanted to clarify that, because I think sometimes people hear cognitive and they think academic, and cognitive intelligence relates to academics. It's kind of the foundation for academics, but it's also agnostic. You can apply this whether you're really into science and engineering, whether you're really into math, whether you're really into writing, whether you're really into any of the subjects and literacy. This is applicable.
So I want to break this down for our amazing educators who are listening today. So in the context of cognitive intelligence, and this is actually the same across all 5 layers of intelligence that we go deep into in our master's program, we've developed at Breathe for Change 5 competencies. Creativity being the 5th competency, right? Because that's like the ultimate expression of cognitive intelligence. And I want to take some time, Michael, for us to actually break down those 5 competencies. So I'm just going to name them up front, and then we're going to take you through a journey with us as you not only understand like the theory around each of these competencies, but we'll actually introduce to you some of our favorite practices that will help you make the theory come to life in your day-to-day experience. So competency number 1, Michael, what is it?
Focus.
So do you want to define that really quickly?
Focus is essentially our ability to direct our attention and to navigate all the distractions that are at play in this world, and also to understand, to even notice the thoughts that we are having so that we can direct them.
Right. And that's foundational to creativity and really to any form of learning, right? You have to be able to focus. And I know that there is so much challenge right now in classrooms across the country and world with kids even able to focus because we have so many distractions, technology, all the things.
I would argue adults as well. I mean,
for sure.
I
can't even focus, and I'm like teaching this stuff.
I saw a recent statistic that the memory span of the average human just dropped below that of a goldfish.
Oh.
I was reading in a book, don't quote me, I haven't verified the source, but there was really clear data that showed every decade, the last 5 decades, our attention span has been decreasing noticeably, and it's getting to the point where it's a critical issue.
I mean, we're seeing these in results, right? Like education's becoming more challenging. Mental health crisis is exacerbating. I mean, we're seeing this, so
Absolutely.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So focus is the first competency, and we'll dig into that a little bit more. And then from focus, we move into critical thinking, right? Because we got all this information coming in. What are we going to do with it?
And critical thinking is where we take that information that we observe in our focused state and we start to analyze it, right? We start to examine the information and it's how relevant is it? How valid is it? We also look at our perspectives and our assumptions and that of whoever the information was from. And this is really important because of course there's so much information in today's world. So much of it there's influences over why someone's saying it, right? Not all of it is valid or true. It may be because someone's advertising something or someone's trying to make some.
Especially today with like literally AI at your fingertips and Google at your fingertips.
Right.
I mean, we can get any form of anything literally in a snap.
Absolutely. So critical thinking is where we take that information, we start to make sense of it, right?
Mhm.
And we do so in a more critical way so that we're not just susceptible to being tricked by, a false or just misleading statement.
Mhm. So we've got focus, our first core competency, which is absolutely essential for our ability to engage in
Mhm.
information and to dissect information. Then we have critical thinking, right? Our capacity to make sense of and be able to critically analyze information coming at us, whether it's from a human or from AI or wherever.
Anywhere.
And that leads us to our third competency, which is decision making,
Mhm.
right? How do we make effective and meaningful and responsible decisions with mindsets that are actually supporting us?
Absolutely. And I love that you brought up mindsets because
Mhm.
the sort of hidden driver of so many of our decisions are the mindsets and the beliefs that we have about whatever it is that's happening. And so in our curriculum, in this competency, we really tease that apart and we really look and examine, again, critically thinking again, but the mindsets that are behind what we're choosing. Are we in a mindset where we feel stuck and defeated and we're just trying to get through? Or are we in a mindset where we feel, even if it's challenging, we believe we'll be able to find our way to the other side and grow through the process? And that type of growth mindset or other asset-based mindsets, they just really enhance our capacity to make good decisions.
Mhm. I mean, and as educators, we're making decisions literally minute to minute, right? Making decisions on behalf of our students, on behalf of the families that we support, on behalf of our communities,
Mhm.
on behalf of ourselves, on behalf of our loved ones. Like as educators and caregivers, we're holding so much space and have so much responsibility for the people around us. And so being able to make those responsible decisions
Mhm.
from a place of critical thinking
Mhm.
and focus,
Mhm.
I mean,
Game changer.
game changer.
Absolutely. Sometimes people I think hear the word decision making, they think really big life decisions like should I move to a new place or what job should I do or who should my partner be? Those are obviously that matters a ton and this applies, but this also applies to those moments where a student has an outburst
Mhm.
and we have to decide how do we respond to that,
Yeah.
right? And in those moments is where we can change lives and we can show up a different way. And so this is a really practical, applicable competency to everyday life.
And in those moments, we recognize that we have a choice. This competency to me is really about agency. And I think so much negativity is present in our world.
Mm.
And we forget that we're not victims of our own experience, that we actually have power, we have agency to choose not only how we show up in every given moment, but how we decide the direction that we want to move toward.
100%. I love that you brought that up. To me, agency is like at the core of the whole layer of cognitive intelligence, is having agency over our thinking so that we can cultivate the type of thoughts and skills we want instead of being conditioned or told what to do. So 100% agree. And I feel like there's just what opens up for us when we start to recognize and it's important to name, so often as educators there's so many ways in which we don't have agency,
Mhm.
right? The
The
standardized
system.
the standardized tests we're held accountable to, the exact way we're supposed to work with the students that we're serving, the fact that there's not enough teachers in the building so we have more students than we were supposed to serve.
And that educators should be millionaires and they're not making enough money.
Despite all the things that are beyond our control, decision making and how we show up is in our control. And so being able to hold that agency and develop it, right? Not to be perfect, we're not always going to do this right, but to cultivate our capacity to show up how we want, make decisions and respond how we want. That is just total game changer.
Absolutely. And I think one of the most radical things that we've done at Breathe for Change when it comes to cognitive intelligence is to recognize that intelligence is not just individualistic. And I think in schools, it's like, okay, this kid or this student needs to get an A on an individual test. It's like actually learning happens in community, period, which is why we built on like focus, critical thinking, decision-making. Those are a little bit more self-oriented, but the fourth competency is all about collaboration, because every one of those competencies leading up to it, our ability to focus, to critically think, and to make really responsible decisions, has so much to do with our capacity and ability to effectively collaborate with others, to learn from others, to gain new perspectives, to expand our thinking. And so we don't stop at the individual.
No. And this is, I think, something that this is who we are, the two of us, but our whole team at Breathe for Change and our whole movement. This has been so collaborative. There's no way that what has happened would have happened without it. And at the core, I think, of collaboration is being able to work together generatively.
Yes.
So being able to have the collective thinking of you and me or whoever we're talking about be stronger because we're working together, right? And so that takes openness to understand and listen to the other person. It also takes the willingness to speak our own ideas into the space and not be too timid either, because that's when, the different perspectives and ideas we hold can come together and really enhance how we work together.
This concept of yes and, right? If I have something to share and I'm just thinking about it myself, but I'm not telling Michael, might have some brilliant, he always does. He might have some brilliant idea to add on, right? And so this collaborative piece. Yeah.
If Ilana has a brilliant idea and she doesn't share it, I won't know what it is. So yeah, it builds on itself.
It's the gift that keeps on giving, is this learning in community, thinking in community, collective thinking and reasoning. That's really how we're going to change the world together, because we can't do it alone. We all know that, right? We only have so much capacity as an individual, but as a collective.
100%. Because we each have our own, over time, we each develop, right? As even as students, but especially as adults, we develop what we're best at, right? We have our own personalities, we have our own. And so when you bring that together, different people can play different roles, whether it's in a micro environment or whether it's on a team or in an organization, in a school building. There's different educators with different strengths, right? And so the ability to collaborate together and to develop this in students, this is another thing that is only going way up on the criteria of people who are employing for the future, is the ability to collaborate, because this is just a core skill that is so essential to success now. And people who can collaborate well,
that's who you want to hire.
That's who we're
hiring.
That's who's getting the most successful jobs. That's who's getting the most opportunities. And it's because it becomes more and more essential the more advanced everything gets, that no individual has any chance of really being able to do everything by themselves with how much is going on in the world and how much technology is accelerating.
And with our enhanced capacity to focus, to gather information, to be able to critically think about that information and make sense of it, and then to be able to make decisions based on what we know and the due diligence we've done, so to speak, and then to be able to collaborate effectively across all of those layers, then where do we left with? Creativity, right? That's where creativity is born.
Absolutely.
Right? Because together, I should say both individually and collectively, we can imagine possibilities that don't yet exist. That is exactly what you and I did when we birthed Breathe for Change together, is we knew that something had to fundamentally change in education. We dreamed big together, and then we just did it. We set our North Star, and we are still sprinting towards it 11 years later.
And it's that transforming into action piece that I also think the collaboration is so valuable for, right? If creativity is both imagining the possibilities and then transforming the ideas into action, transforming ideas into action is hard. I don't know about you, but it's always hard. Any new idea, if it's actually different, it's hard. It's hard for me. It's hard to know that it's going to get criticized. It's hard to know that it might fail.
And if it's not hard, it's likely not transformational. I'll say that.
And if you try to do that alone, it's just, I wouldn't have never been able to do this, So it's that type of, there's so much value to bringing these cognitive intelligence competencies into the relational and the
Mm-hmm.
collaborative areas.
Mm-hmm. And so, at Breathe for Change, we definitely don't like just talk and shop and talk theory concepts. No, thank you.
Let's transform these ideas into action.
Let's transform these ideas into action. So I would love to just circle back to focus, our first competency, right? Our ability to notice our thoughts and navigate distractions and actually be able to literally focus our attention.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite strategies that we teach in our master's program is attention with
intention.
And I think that word intention is so profound because so often our attention is literally being pulled a million different directions. And without such focused intention about where we want to put our attention, it gets taken. We're lost.
Absolutely.
And so you want to take us through it?
I'm happy to, yes. So for attention with intention, the start is just to take a moment wherever you are. If you're in a calm place, you can just sit with yourself. That's great. If you're driving, this will actually work great too, because you can pay attention to your driving with no other thoughts.
Yay, safe driving.
So take a moment just to consider what you want to. We're going to take 30 seconds just to place our attention on one thing. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be the practice. As simple as it sounds, it can be very challenging. So consider one thing you want to place your attention on. Maybe it's something you've been wanting to reflect on or think through in your life. Maybe it's you're cooking and you just want to be fully present with what you're doing. But whatever it is, choose what you want to put your attention on now. And then just see how much you can fully focus your attention on this one thing. And if and when distracting thoughts come in, that is okay. Just notice that your attention has drifted and just bring your attention back.
So powerful.
And we're just going to do this for another 5 seconds. And then you can release that. And just take a moment to consider, how was that for you? What was it like to try to put all your attention on one thing? And just notice and consider what that tells you about focus in your life, or what that tells you about the types of things that might distract you, or how this competency might support you.
And if you're anything like me and you get distracted by your phone, I literally, during that practice, I was focusing on you, Michael. I was like, oh, Michael. Because I wanted to be really present with what you were saying. But my phone was right in front of me. So I noticed myself scrolling a little bit to check the time and see, what's going on. And then right when you said, if you noticed your mind drifting off or whatever words you used, I brought my attention back to you.
Yeah.
And so this is an ongoing practice, y'all.
Absolutely.
Because we are human beings. And one thing that is beautiful about being human beings is that we get distracted. And in the mindful practice, mindfulness is literally bringing your attention back to your point of focus. And that's what attention with intention is all about. And another practice that we love within focus is called protect the field. And this really is kind of a buffer to attention with intention, because similarly how I just notice, okay, my phone, it's in my way, I'm on it, I'm distracted. I can actually set up my environment to protect the field of my focus. What do I mean by that? Okay, let me see. My notifications are on. I was looking at what text message came through because someone just texted me in the middle of this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I want to set my notifications to silence or go on do not disturb. And so that would have fundamentally changed my moment to moment, check my phone. Because if the notifications are off, right, I'm more present. I'm not looking for it. It's not pulling my attention. And so, in the context of school, it might be you turning off your phone. In your relationship at home, it might likely be that too, or your roommate, your partner, your friend, whoever. In school, it might be, figuring out what are the colors that are distracting you, right? I found that as a teacher, I had all these primary colors like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and I was overstimulated. And so were my students. And the second I like went into the Montessori way and bought like the wood furniture and like had more calming pastel colors, it literally protected my own and my students' focus. It was
Wow.
unbelievable.
Yeah. This one is so powerful. And I'll just say that I think one of the simplest and most meaningful things any of us can do for our cognitive intelligence, specifically for focus, but I would say for the whole layer, is to open up your notification settings on your phone and turn off most of them. The reality is that those notifications are designed to pull us into the apps so that those apps can make more money. And again, as we develop our cognitive intelligence, it's not that we don't want to use those apps or it's wrong to have notifications. It's totally up to every individual, but it's giving our attention over without thinking about it, as opposed to saying, hey, I want to go on Instagram for half an hour. It's like, no, actually, I just got pulled there by a notification, right? And so for me, it's been I remember when I first did this, and now I'm like a hawk watching over my notifications. Anytime I install a new app, if I didn't get it and one comes up, the first thing I do, literally, I'll like pause whatever I do, because I'm like, I am not, like, I care about my focus, and I'll just literally, even if I'm on a Zoom meeting, I'll be like, hey, just a sec, and I'll go and turn off my notifications.
This is why Michael has mastered focus. I'm telling you, y'all, like, I definitely am not there yet. I can't wait for you to take my phone and do that for me, because I need a collaborator in this one
right now.
Okay, I can't wait. Right after this podcast, you're taking my phone for an hour.
Sounds
you're
good.
Turning off my 5,000 notifications so I can be more present.
And I definitely don't feel
like
I've mastered this. And I have been focusing on focus for a long time, and it does build. It really can build and develop.
Well, I think, what you're saying is really important and related to all the competencies, which is that we never actually master it and we're done. This is a lifelong practice. And every moment is an opportunity to embody these competencies and to recognize, oop, I'm off track. Let me get myself back on. Like, I'm out of focus. Okay, great. Let me get myself on. Same with critical thinking, which is our second competency, which we can move into now, right? Okay, I got all this information. I'm making an immediate assumption, and I now have I do this with you all the time. It's like, I hear something that our team says or our educators say, and I'm like, Michael, okay, here's what we're going to do. And
you're
like,
getting better. You're getting better. I feel like at least half the time now you think about it first critically.
But like, my intuition is so strong. And so sometimes I'm like, okay, I just know. But then looking at all the data, right? Actually taking a step back and listening for all the different perspectives, and then also questioning the question, right? I might have a question that I think we're answering, but it's actually not the most supportive or effective question that we could be asking for the future of Breathe for Change.
Right.
And so one of my favorite practices that you just have instilled in me is question the question.
Absolutely.
I love it. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
So question the question is an amazing strategy for critical thinking. And the core of it is that generally when we are trying to sort through information, there's usually some goal or question that's driving us. So for example, one of the questions we ask all the time, I ask all the time, I know you do too, and maybe in different words, is how can we serve educators better?
Same words.
Right? Okay, perfect. So it's how can we serve educators question? This question is like going on in the background of my mind all the time, like when I'm in the shower, when I'm supposed to be, at home with my wife, whatever, it's going on, right? Sometimes I put it aside, but I think it's a good question. I think it serves me. But the idea of question the question is we think about, because some of our questions might not be so serving, right? A question that some of us might have, and sometimes I have, is like, what are they thinking about me, for example? When you walk around with that question, what are they thinking about me all the time? Now you're like really focused on like how you look, how you appear, and it pulls.
Or I'm not good enough. I'm never going to impress them. I'm not worthy. Yeah.
How can I prove that I'm worthy, right? Or how can I prove that I'm good enough? Another one that can really put a lot of energy in a very specific path. So with question the question, you question that question. You don't just take it for granted. You actually do some work to consider what question you're asking.
Even that question that you just posed that I was like, I have the same question. How do we serve educators? I'm thinking about it now and I'm like, who are we to be the people with the answers to serve our educators? That's so
arrogant,
egocentric.
Yeah.
And our educators have the answers to the support that they need.
So let's question that
let's
question.
question that question.
Yeah, let's question that question.
Totally. And I think that so often we can be on this path towards, addressing some question that's actually not leading to the outcome that's going to be the most supportive for what it is that we ideally want to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that.
Yeah. So let's talk about, you were just starting to question the word serve. I think it's a really good word to question. So with the practice of question the question, just a meta moment, it's all about, once we've identified that question that we're asking ourselves, maybe subconsciously, then you move into actually saying, okay, what are different questions that I could be asking? Mm-hmm. Or what parts of this question are really working for me and what parts are not? Mm-hmm. And so let's try that with our question.
Well, the next question that came to me was, how can we best support educators? Support feels more aligned, like a team, not like top down, I have the answers and I'm here to serve. But even that, I felt like is limiting.
What about like, how could we connect more with our educators? Or how can we better co-create, understand, co-create with educators, right?
And then another, like, even more radical question that came to me that was inspiring was, what are our educators saying that they need most right now?
So good.
Because ultimately that's what we're here for, is to support whatever it is that they're saying that they need. And that feels more like a co-creation, a collaborative effort.
Yeah, the way you just shifted that question, how can we serve, to what was it again? What was your question?
What are educators saying that they need right now?
It's taking it, so many of our questions are often self-referential, meaning they're about us, right? So instead of the question about how can we, it's what are they, right? And that automatically shifts how we would approach that situation.
Another way to think about it, because even that is a little bit deficit-based. It's based on needs, and needs are important, but also what are their dreams for themselves? What are their hopes? What is their vision for their roles as educators? What new possibilities do they want to create? Like, that to me is like, wow, if we can tap into educators' hopes and dreams for themselves, that's worth fighting for the rest of my life, versus how can I serve educators?
What educators' dreams could we, support coming to life, or something like that, right? It's really endless. And the goal of question the question is not to necessarily, it's not to necessarily choose a better question or a different question. It may lead to that, but it's also to better, even this conversation itself is helping me understand, what are the subtle assumptions or perspectives that I hold as I think about wanting to make a difference in education, right? And that's so valuable for me. I'm going to reflect on that more after the podcast.
Totally. And when we actually take the time to question the question, that is literally engaging in critical thinking. And that leads us to making so much more effective decisions, right?
100%.
Like, we can make responsible decisions that support our communities. And all of us, every single moment, are making decisions as educators. Like, literally every interaction, everything that we teach, every lesson plan that we're making, every conversation we're having, we're making subtle decisions in those moments about how we show up, what we say, what we're doing, what we're telling other people to do, et cetera, et cetera. And so when we take the time to critically think, we set ourselves up for success in the decision-making process.
Speaking of decision-making, should we move on to that competency?
Yes.
I know that there's, I know we were briefly getting to connect before this. It was too short, but I wanted to continue this conversation about a challenge that you're facing in your personal life, where some decision-making could be useful, or potentially one of our strategies, if you're open to sharing about it. And I could even guide you through one of the strategies if you want.
Will you do problem, no problem?
I will do one of your favorites, problem, no, one of my favorites too. Yes, I will.
That's my favorite. Okay. So for all you parents out there, especially, all you parents, you've had young children before. So I'm in it. I got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and sleeping has been literally the biggest crisis in our home, because both of my girls, Leah and Zoe, are in the same room, and I just cannot get them to sleep. My husband and I, we finally have moved them into the room, so they're both in the room. One of them was always sleeping in our bed up until this point, and now they won't go to sleep unless one of us is in there. So there's zero space for my husband and I over the last 4 years to even have a moment to breathe at the end of the day, to be together.
That's hard,
because it's we're just supporting our kids' sleeping habits. And then they're not going to bed until like 10. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a bad parent. And then it's going on, like I'm going off. So that's the
problem.
challenge.
So if you had to say that in one sentence, how would you describe that problem?
My daughters won't go to sleep without my husband or I in the room.
Okay, super clear. Perfect. So the start of the problem, no problem strategy is all about getting just clear. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just clear about a roughly one sentence description of the problem that you want to make no problem. And then the next step is to start to just consider some new ideas. And the key to this that you could potentially use to work with this problem. And this is about decision making. We're going to move to the decision making part, but sometimes part of decision making is really considering our options, right? And often we might skip over that. So for this step, it's really about taking off the I think I know hat and putting on the I have no idea. Let's just get creative and just come up with potential ideas. So if you were to just kind of without thinking hard at all, but just from the like part of you that just comes up with new ideas because you're brilliant at this, what are a couple things or 3 or 4 ideas of how you might be able to address this?
I could get a sleep consultant who actually knows like the science behind child development and sleep to help us.
Boom. That's one.
I could get them a really cute light in there that they love. Or, I used to have these like stars that glowed in the dark on my wall when I was little that I loved. So maybe something in the environment that would support them. I could use a timer. Mommy or daddy are going to stay in here for 10 minutes and then I could scaffold it down 9, 8, 7, 6 until we're out. And another thing I was thinking about is one of my friends did this, sit right outside the door, keep the door open so they know I'm there. But then like if they say my name or like, mommy, I just like wave to them so they can see me, but there's like a physical block between us. And then we could also, we've talked about this day after day, like lock the door, close it, let them scream, which doesn't feel good for my heart at all. But it's like definitely an option that some people do in sleep training.
Okay, so you've got 5 or 6 ideas.
Something
You
like
always
that.
have a lot of ideas. I love that about you. So which 1 or 2 of them feel like there's something interesting there? Maybe it's not a fully fleshed out idea, but like what was interesting about all that?
There was 2 that sort of build on each other for me.
Okay.
The one where I time it first, because I think cutting it too quickly is going to just lead to emotional
it's scaffolding.
uproar
We always
for
talk
me,
about this.
especially, but also for them.
Mhm.
So maybe starting with 10 minutes on one day and then having conversations with them, but then the next day is 9 minutes, the next day is 8. And after each of those days, then I can move to right outside the door for 10 minutes. So like they're getting like, oh, now she's outside the door. So then once I hit 0, then I go to the door solution.
Nice.
And do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then they're sleeping and they're perfect for the rest of my life. That's the goal.
That is the goal. So is this something that you are ready to decide on trying?
I'm going to call my husband literally after this podcast and tell him this is happening.
Okay.
I love it.
Problem, no problem.
Problem, no problem. So good.
Love that. And so just to break down the strategy for the listeners real quick. So it starts with identifying a problem that you're facing. Then it goes into this stage of just considering some ideas. And I want to just take the pressure off of this stage. Honestly, like really out there ideas.
Wild.
Like crazy ideas. Like Ilana could say like, get a special technology, a clone of myself that's in there with them. Like that crazy. Like
I
just
should have thought of that one.
Just to get the juices flowing. And then it's considering which one or more of those has something interesting to it. And then it's deciding on a next step and one simple next step. I mean, Ilana is really good at this. So you came up with kind of a whole plan. And that's amazing. But even if you just get one action that you can take, that's
like
really
set a
valuable.
timer for 10 minutes tomorrow night.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
So that's problem, no problem. And there's another layer of this that I think is really important that may not always get talked about. But like we talked about before with decision making, so much of this has to do about our mindsets.
Yeah.
Right? Like what mindset are we in? And I think you just really effectively did that strategy. What were some of the mindsets that you had during that?
I mean, well, to begin, the mindset I had before you did problem, no problem with me is like, my kids are never going to go to sleep and I'm a bad parent. Or like, and it was like this fixed mindset, like I'm stuck in this and other people have it figured out.
There was like a belief that something was wrong or you were, you felt guilty and it was driving some mindset that like, that's not very creative.
Right. No, not creative at all. And just like feeling stuck.
And then through the strategy, what mindsets began to emerge?
I mean, I felt like it was like I'm much more inspired. So I felt like, oh, there's like growth. It's like all these different ideas. There's choice. So I felt like more of an like agency to my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt like my mindset was so much more open because before it was closed. It's like, this is what it is. And I'm stuck forever.
Right.
And I'm never going to get through this until they're 18 and out of the house. But then once I did it, I'm like, oh, like actually tomorrow there's a possibility for change and this is exciting and maybe I can be more creative. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So another one of our strategies, which we're sort of talking through implicitly right now, is called mindful of mindsets, and it's sort of it's really valuable, especially if we feel stuck in a certain decision making situation, to consider what mindsets we might be holding and to really also consider what mindsets might support us more. And usually, it's something like going from a more fixed mindset where we feel, or even a more guilt, like you mentioned, guilt, or some sense of self-judgment mindset. Like judgment is kills creativity more than anything else, kills
for sure
decision making, right? So when we take that off and shift from more of a fixed mindset into more of a growth mindset, doesn't mean it's going to be easy, doesn't mean the problem's just going to go away, but just the sense that we can make progress.
It's almost like a lens of curiosity. Because when we're cynical, and we just had a podcast with Allison, who is incredible, and she talked about cynicism versus curiosity. And cynicism is like this knowing that everything is going to go wrong, whereas curiosity is there's like an opening, right? And so it's like this, and then ultimately the flip side is creativity, which is the full expression of like exploring all the possibilities and then bringing those to life. So I think this like cynicism and creativity are like on the opposite ends. And then there's this space for curiosity. And when you're feeling cynical, like there's no possibility I can't solve this problem. If you just get a little curious, it opens up space for more creativity.
Absolutely. I love that. So we've covered 2 decision-making strategies. We covered problem, no problem, and we covered
mindful mindset.
Mindful of mindset. So let's move on to collaboration, because I'm really excited about this one.
I love it.
And do you want to introduce a little bit about collaboration?
Well, so collaboration, I mean, it's inherent in what we do as educators, right? We're collaborating every single day. We're really building on each other's ideas. We're listening to our students. We're listening to our colleagues. We're talking to families. We're talking to our own families and friends. And our capacity to think critically, to make decisions, absolutely increases when we are doing the work in community. And that's what collaboration is really about. It's about collective thinking. We're literally like thinking individually. We're adding all these different layers. Oh, Michael said this. Now that's expanded my perspective. Let me look at this challenge or question differently now, right? And collaboration is really about our capacity to work together, to think critically, and to ultimately make decisions and take actions that are in alignment with our values and the impact that we want to create in the world.
So should we put it into practice
yes
together?
What you got for me?
I'm thinking a yes and.
Oh, my favorite. Let's do it.
I'm thinking a yes and around something that is relevant to Breathe for Change right now. What do you think?
So,
like how we make human intelligence even more prevalent in education?
I was literally going to say something like that. So how does every educator and student get access to human intelligence and feel capable and equipped and confident embodying those 5 layers?
Perfect. So let's practice yes and.
Okay.
Which is a very generative sort of brainstorming collaborative thing. Do you want to kick us off?
Yes. So every educator in the United States of America and the world will graduate from our Masters of Education focused on human intelligence.
Yes. And I think we can make it really accessible. Like we can find ways to make it bite-sized and really get it out there in ways that are super easy for someone to try, even just like in 1 or 2 minutes.
Yes. And our educators can start to implement all of these practices into their classrooms, into their schools, into their meetings with staff members. And so they're creating this culture of human intelligence in their schools.
Yes. And when that culture starts to happen, it's so infectious. Like people will see the benefits that others are having and be like, I want that for myself too.
Yes. And parents at home and families at home are going to start to see these practices, these competencies showing up in their kids. And then families, whole family systems are going to fundamentally change by embodying these 5 layers of human intelligence.
Yes. And I think we can really find ways to make sure that we integrate with all the other amazing work that's going on in education too, so that human intelligence and other incredible, innovative curriculum can come together and integrate with each other.
Love that. Yes. And our when students are in school, they are completely focused on living their purpose. And through the partnerships that you just talked about, they're going to have so much more access to being able to bring their purposes to life.
Yes, and we have only a little bit longer for the podcast, so we should stop there. I know we could do that forever.
Yes, and I love you.
I love you too. It's such a good strategy. So the core of this one, of course, you heard, and actually they use this in improv, but it's so valuable for getting that collaboration flowing, is that you just simply follow up the statement that you're collaborating, or it could be a statement, could be a longer sort of idea or point that the other person shared, and you follow it with a yes, and you build on it and continue to keep that creative and collaborative momentum building.
And you can do this at staff meetings when you're thinking about how to address issues in your school. You can facilitate small groups with your students where they're talking about some issue that they want to solve together. You could do it as a whole class. I mean, there's so many incredible ways that you can incorporate this practice into your instruction.
Yeah, it's so powerful.
So fun.
And we hope you play with it like we just did.
And
let's
have
go
fun
to
with
creativity.
it. Awesome. So creativity, right? This, we're kind of coming full circle because we started with creativity, and that's really the ultimate expression, the goal, the what would you call it, Michael? The
culmination.
The culmination of cognitive intelligence, which is about imagining new possibilities and bringing those possibilities to life. So it's about action ultimately. And
we want to guide you through a really simple strategy in the creativity competency, which is all about vision. So much of what can drive our creativity is knowing ultimately where we want to go and what we want to create. And so this is a powerful strategy around creating a vision for yourself. And it could be about something big or it could be about something small. Do you want to support our listeners in getting to create a vision for themselves?
I would love to. So I invite you to find a comfortable position, and you can soften your gaze or close your eyes. If you're driving, keep them right focused on the road in front of you. And I invite you to bring your hands over your heart as you connect to your breath. And as you breathe, I invite you to connect to your hopes and dreams for yourself, right? As an educator, as a leader, as a human being, what is your big vision for yourself in your life? It can be about the impact that you want to make in your community. It can be about how you want to show up to each moment every single day. It might be about what you want to create or build, or the legacy you want to leave behind. Maybe it's about how you want to feel each day. But literally, by the end of your life, if you look back from your deathbed, what is something you would be so proud of fulfilling in your life? What's that big vision that you have? Maybe you can fast forward to the end of your life and see yourself actually living that vision in action. See yourself aligning your thoughts, your words, your actions today, tomorrow, next year, next decade, and so on with this vision. And just feel the impact. And know that you're already so far well on your way towards fulfilling this. You're doing the work now. So acknowledge yourself. Y'all are the most amazing humans on this planet. You're educators, you're leaders, Many of you are parents. You're supporting the future of our world. So thank you, and acknowledge yourself in this beautiful vision. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Integrating this vision into your heart, breathe in and let the inspiration go. And if your eyes are closed, you can gently open them.
I was having a vision of a world where more people are just truly in touch with their creative passion and inspiration, and like bringing that to life through their choices every day, through what they're making in the world. And it was really emotional. It was beautiful.
I feel so grateful to be building that future with you and in partnership with you. And I am so excited for educators and students because of this expanded definition of cognitive intelligence and human intelligence in general that we hope to share and that we are sharing. And just the potential of it feels so inspiring and big to me.
Me too.
I feel so lucky to do this with you.
Me too. We did promise a freestyle, so maybe to close out.
Oh, yes. Okay, ready? This is the best part. Okay, so just so y'all know, ever since I met Michael, I'm the beatboxer. I'm a professional beatboxer, and Michael is a freestyler.
I don't know about professional anywhere, but we're going to do it.
All right, can I beatbox?
Sure. I could just go a cappella, or you can beatbox.
I'll start, and then you can go.
Yeah.
Then you can go.
This is going to be completely off the top of my head. It's one way I tap into creativity and express it, and I'm going to do it about this cognitive intelligence framework.
Okay.
So we build in creativity, that mental agility, the new ability setting up the generation. We creating a whole new education because we feel it in our soul. I know we getting bold. The way that we get cognitive, it is not old because we focus. It's no hocus pocus. We train ourselves every day. That's why we know this. Then we critically think, and that's where we drink in all the information, but we know how we think. We on the brink of something big, so we make that decision. Ain't no problems because we got our precision. It's all within it, but we collaborate. That's where we turn the ideas into something great. When we come together, we could never be held back. I know that you and me, we could do it if we go for that big dream, that vision, that creative vision. I'm telling you, the inspiration's placing all this hint. So if you feel it, if you know that you hear, it's a movement for the educators that we hold dear. Hey.
Oh my God. Michael, mic drop. I love you. This is the best. And wow, just your capacity to share your creativity is such a gift. And I hope everyone who's listening is as inspired as I am by your ridiculous gift that you have of that. Thank you.
Thank you. It's so beautiful to create.
You literally went through all 5 competencies. I heard it. That was incredible.
That's what wanted to come through.
Amazing. So thank you all so much for listening in. And Michael, it's been such a joy to co-create this with you, and so excited to, shift this cognitive overload in education to a cognitive intelligence that's worth teaching and learning for.
That's something I can get behind.
Feels so inspiring. So love you.